being displaced because of the travel ban.
But that's why we slow it down a little, and to make sure that if they are a 5-year-old, that maybe they're with their parents and they don't pose a threat. But to assume that just because of someone's age or gender or whatever, that they don't pose a threat would be misguided and wrong.
Okay, Juliet, this is your expertise. Is he asking how we can assume that a 5-year-old isn't dangerous? I mean, what do you think of that?
I think Sean Spicer is trying to explain an executive order that is inexplicable. There is a reason why the executive order should have gone through the interagency review, and it's not bureaucracy and it's not slowness. If it had done the normal processes, then the Department of Defense would have alerted the White House, listen, we have a couple hundred translators who want to come through. They've helped us. What should we do about them? Can we have a carve out for them? If it had gone to the State Department would have told the White House, listen, it's unclear whether this covers green card holders, and we wouldn't have had to have waited 72 hours for a definitive answer.
But Juliet,
if they had gone
to Andre's point, they don't want to do that. They want to be disruptors, and they want to change things. Maybe they figured that they don't have to do it that way.
You ask me. I mean, you tell me whether what I'm saying is, sure, they want to do that. Is that the right thing? The disruptive thing is just a term that they're using to explain a policy that wasn't properly thought through. And it's not just them. Let's just talk about first responders. There were reports coming out this weekend, and I certainly heard them anecdotally, that this disruptive behavior doesn't fall on the White House. They're protected. It's the young Customs and Border Patrol agents who are out there trying to figure out what an executive order means that their Secretary Kelly, hasn't even reviewed. And so we're putting that burden on Customs and Border Protection officials who basically are sort of said, wake up one day and say, oh, look, the whole world has changed. You don't run government like that, not because you're afraid of being disruptive, but because the efficient and effectuation of policy, even though I disagree with the policy, should be right the reason why you wanted to be president. If that's not the reason why you want to be president, then that's the debate we're going to have for the next 4 years. But presumably he wants this executive order to work. I fundamentally disagree with it, but the process that they went through in and of itself was so objectionable for the people told to enforce it, to children, to green card holders, to the interpreters who were helping our troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. So that's, what the people want, I would assume that the people want to, figure out whether green card holders are protected.
Andre, even staunch Republicans and supporters of
policy.
Hang on, Mayor. Andre, even supporters of the president said that they wish that it had been rolled out in a more professional and a more thought-out manner. Do you disagree with that?
Of course I do. Well, first, I want to point out
you
that
disagree with it, or
Obama's
you agree with it?
National Security Team. I agree with the way he rolled it out. There are always going to be critics, but again, President Obama's National Security Team recommended a travel ban on these very countries. This isn't just this administration. The prior administration that just vacated the office had the same recommendation.
He's right, Andre. That's
not
true. And I can tell you the difference between it if you'd like me to. If you'd like me to explain that. So here's the thing.
Look, Mayor, you're going to disagree with the day Donald Trump won, you were beaten.
Okay.
No.
Hold on. Let me read this. Let me read this to settle this argument.
I disagree when you are factually wrong.
The Trump administration's explanation is that they started, gentlemen, please, I'm trying to explain the difference here, is that it started with the countries also designated by the Obama administration and that more could be added. The difference is in the scope and breadth of people who were impacted. Trump's actions implemented a temporary ban to figure out how people would give countries increased scrutiny. For now, it's almost a complete ban. The Obama administration's travel restriction provided extra security to people who travel to these countries that are listed because they are hotbeds of foreign. It did not specifically ban people from entering the U.S. because they were citizens from these 7 countries. They're not the same. They're different.
No, it recommended it.
It just said that these 7 places had issues. It didn't ban people from coming in the country who were from these 7 places. It said that they had extra security. They needed extra security.
There's a difference. Yeah.
So,
and Don, well.
Yeah. Okay, so Douglas.
I wrote
Go ahead, Mayor. Sorry for the delay.
No problem. So hopefully we're clear on that. Andre, unfortunately, you're wrong about that. I know you want to get that across. I wrote a piece today. It's on CNN in the opinion section. I mean, it is clear that there's something wrong going on in the White House, in the administration, and specifically with the president. There may be some mental challenges with his judgment and the things that they are doing. And you can, under your breath, whatever. But, you know, until we get a full assessment of what the president's health is and what his mental state is, the actions that are taking place, and as Juliet laid out, you want to be disruptive, you know, you have that prerogative. But it's what you do and how you do it. There is no immediate threat to the United States of America right now. This was a mess, the way it was rolled out. And whether you agree with it or not, there are ways to do things that at least the Department of Homeland Security, the Justice Department, and other people would actually understand what you're trying to accomplish. And in this particular regard, as a former executive, this was a mess in terms of how it was rolled out because no one in the government actually knows how to implement it.
Mayor, I'll have to, and that statement is yours. We have no indication that there's anything mentally or physically wrong with the President of the United States. Again,
I understand that.
That's your assessment.
Right.
Carl Bernstein.
The behavior.
I'm sorry, Douglas Brinkley.
Is the behavior.
Douglas Brinkley, I want to ask you, have we ever, we're talking about disruptors, have we ever seen anything like this, you as an historian, have you witnessed anything even close to this or similar to this?
Well, you know, Andrew Johnson, after the Lincoln assassination, his first weeks, really months, were just chaotic. But that would be the only real example. You know, we like to use the word unprecedented at CNN. This is unprecedented behavior for this reason. Donald Trump is acting as if he has a mandate and won a landslide election. Meaning FDR in 1932 did win a landslide. He cleaned up all over America, so he was able to do bold New Deal reforms. Ronald Reagan in 1980 did win a giant landslide. Donald Trump lost by 3 million votes. It was a very, very close election. We're a deeply divided country. He's entered the White House with very low public approval ratings for most presidents at about 40%. And so he has most of the country opposing him, and he's unifying Democrats and opposition right now in an unprecedented fashion with early administration. So there's a bit of delusion going on out of the Trump White House, and then they don't have the right people in place. And so things are unraveling all around them. Yet for Donald Trump supporters, this is what he promised.
Yeah.
He's just doing it in a blitzkrieg like fashion.
Douglas, we're losing your connection. I'm sorry, but David, quick, I have about 20 seconds here. He's saying that these are his words. There's a delusion going on at the White House that President Trump thinks that he has a mandate when he doesn't. He lost the popular vote. There are more people who don't support him in this country than who do support him. Is he under a delusion that he has this mandate, this non-existent mandate?
Listen, I don't know. I don't think so. He campaigned on this. You know, he made his points clear. People knew what they were voting for. There are millions of people out there who support him, through this crisis he's going through. At the same time, there are millions of other Americans, and I think at least an equal number, if not larger number, who have gone from despondency. They thought they were getting better. They're back to despondency. I think some of them are terrified by what they're seeing unfolding. We haven't seen a government take charge like this in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Thank you, panel. I appreciate it. We'll be right back.
You're going to love Bird's Eye steamed fresh vegetables.
Wait for it.
In about 5 minutes, you get delicious premium veggies steamed to perfection.
Now!